Hello, everyone. Uh, I'm so happy to be with you today and to be talking to you on this Thursday. Um, hey, it's a good Thursday, and I'm glad it's Thursday. It's wet outside. We're getting some rain, but that's okay. Um, Everything's going well, and life's going good, and you're moving along. And hey, what more can you ask for? Uh, it's not always exciting, but at least it's peaceful. And so today I'm going to be talking about compromise, and and I'm talking about people compromising too much. And when I'm talking about compromising too much, I mean compromising without really getting much in return or getting nothing in return. Compromising principles, compromising what you believe, and all this stuff. And a couple of days ago, I did a vlog called "I Don't Give Passes." And the reason I'm doing the compromise blog is because, as I've said before, I don't give passes. Everyone in my life has to come with the same set of rules. But compromise sometimes is a part of life. I'm married, so compromise is certainly a part of my marriage. We do compromise about quite a few things and stuff. You have to. You're living in the house with someone, with someone else and stuff. So it can't be your way all the time, and it can't be their way all the time and stuff. Sometimes you have to compromise. But what's the point where, and I'm not really talking about marriage, just in life general, where compromise is not really helpful to you and it's not really doing you any good. And in general, women and many black women just compromise on too many things and stuff. And something happened today while I was on Twitter talking, and I'll talk about that later. And that made me really stop to start thinking about what is it about us that's giving so many passes to people on so much stuff that no one should ever have passes on, and stuff. So yesterday, how this vlog came up in my mind. Yesterday, I was reading an article on another website, and this woman was talking about falling in love and a vegan and a meat eater falling in love, and what that meant, or getting together and dating, and what that meant, and how that happened. And so she was trying to explain the difference between compromise and sacrifice, and she actually did. She did a really good job on explaining that, but she was giving her example of her being a meat eater and the man she met being a vegan as some kind of compromise thing. And so, you're reading along with the story and they're talking about it. And she's saying how she was a meat eater and stuff. And then she said she met this guy who was a vegan and who was some kind of health guru for people. And he was just so nervous and thought she was in danger because she was eating meat and all this stuff. And he didn't eat, as a vegan, you don't eat anything. You don't eat meat, you don't eat dairy, and all sorts of stuff. So it's really a stricter diet and stuff than vegetarianism is and stuff. And how he thought she was in danger because she was a meat eater. And then and she was just saying how he was trying to push himself on her and push the values of veganism on her and all this stuff. And I just thought to myself, well, people always think that they're not really, sort of religious and stuff because maybe they don't believe in God or because they don't go to church. But, anytime you start worshiping stuff, it's just like being religious. It's just like being a Christian, except, you're proselytizing about being a vegan, but your idol, your God, is now essentially food and stuff, so there's not much difference, and stuff. And I don't know why people are always sort of down about Christians and stuff and acting like they're the only people that go around trying to, yeah, they're trying to push their beliefs on me. Everybody does that in some way or another. So he's trying to push his belief about veganism down her throat and saying how when he has a kid, the kid's going to be a vegan, and they hadn't even got married or didn't have kids or anything and stuff. And so he's talking about all this and how it's going to be a vegan and all this stuff, but he's just so worried about her. And then she goes into saying that she, stops eating, I think, pork and beef and just eats and just, is wondering why he can't be okay with her just eating chicken and fish, and stuff. And so essentially, I saw her part of the compromise in this relationship was to, well, I'll stop eating pork and beef, and stuff, and I'll just go into eating chicken and fish. Maybe at one point, maybe she decide to become a vegetarian and not a vegan or whatever and stuff, but she'll just eat, fish and chicken and stuff. And then that was kind of it. That was just kind of it. He and someone at the bottom in the comments made a comment, and the same thing I was thinking about, then she starts talking about the difference between compromise and sacrifice and stuff, but she never really says anything about what he did and stuff. And so I'm sitting there reading and I'm thinking, okay, well, so where was his compromise? Just because she was saying that, she had started eating chicken and fish, but he still wasn't happy about that and stuff, And I just thought, well, where is his compromise part? I mean, I see she's trying to compromise, maybe with him and him being a vegan and stuff for them to be able to sort of, like each other, because they liked each other in every other way, except they had different eating habits. That was all and stuff. And so I was just thinking, so what about him compromising? And it was so funny, because she's kind of touting this as this kind of, thing on what the difference between compromise and sacrifice and stuff. And I'm thinking, well, he didn't compromise anything. She compromised and stuff, And I was just, sort of like, okay, how is this explaining to people what compromise is? Only one person has done something, and the other person, as I read, didn't seem really happy that they even did that. They wanted more and stuff. And so I was just, and then something struck me that, every time I see a story about compromising, okay, when it comes to men and women in a relationship or marriage or women, sort of in general, with the world or whatever, it's only women compromising, and stuff. And we're told that, we're good people and all this stuff. And this makes us good people if we compromise and if we work with people. But we seem to never get anything in return for all this compromising we're doing and stuff. And I'm just, I'm at the point where it's not really compromising, then more than it's just, we're just sort of being controlled. And we're just being told that, well, if you're not a nice girl, if you don't compromise with people, if you don't try to work with people. I don't know what men are being told. I don't think they're being told nothing, and stuff, because I don't see men on this whole kick about figuring out how to compromise with one another and stuff, or how to compromise with women, and so I thought about this, and I thought about the interview I saw with Gabrielle Reese about the submissive thing, which she totally just didn't even know what she was talking about. But I remember that, and talking about, and she was talking about compromising her marriage, and she was talking about all the things she'd sacrificed and blah 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 and all this stuff, and I mean, she was really holding herself out as a bastion of fine womanhood, because she had sacrificed these things for her marriage and all this stuff, and she'd made these compromises for her marriage to make her marriage and family work. And I remember she was sitting on a couch with her husband and talking about it and telling the interviewer about it and stuff. And he didn't say anything. And I just kept thinking, well, what did he do? All I kept thinking was, well, what did he do? Did he do something? He didn't do anything. She was talking about all the extra stuff she had done and how she was, compromising about this and compromising about that. And I just thought, well, at some point he's gonna jump in and say, I did this and I did that, to compromise with her to make our marriage work better. But he did absolutely nothing, you know. He didn't say he did anything or anything. He was just sort of sitting there listening to her talk. And then he goes on to something else. And so my thought is that women are being told, and you're being okie doked, okay? I just, ladies, I always get that feeling, and if it feels like, I feel like I'm being okie doked, then you probably are, okay? You're being okie doked into thinking you're compromising when you're not compromising. Compromising is supposed to have you do something, maybe give up something, and then the other person give up something. Not you give up a bunch of stuff and the other person just kind of does nothing and says, oh yeah, that's just great, You're not compromising. And stuff. And the woman who was giving the difference between sacrificing and compromising, and stuff, kind of had it right. It's not, I guess she thought she was compromising with him about the being, kind of scaling down on her meat eating. But really, she was just sacrificing. It was something that she was and who she was. And even though she had scaled down on what it is that she ate when it came to meat, he still wasn't happy. He still wasn't okay with that. And so I figured, well, how is that compromise? That's not compromise. That's not how compromise works. And I know, ladies, I'm always, one of my speeches always when I see stuff and people are talking to women, and I'm always thinking, well, what are people saying to men? I never hear any advice to men on anything. I never hear any advice to them regarding relationships or regarding marriages or how to be better husbands. I never really hear any advice, and stuff. Not on some big scale and everything. There are a few men here or there, but I do not hear it on a big scale. And most of the time I hear stuff, it's usually from Christian men, but there's not too many secular men out here telling men, this is how you be a better husband or a better boyfriend or a better father or just a better person kind of in general. You compromise with people. I never hear that advice for men, and stuff. And I'm not giving that advice. I'm not talking to men. I'm talking to women. I'm not a man. So I'm not talking to men because I know how men are. They don't listen to women. So it doesn't even matter. I don't talk. This blog is not for men. It's for women. So, I hope you will find somebody that could give you some advice on how to be a better person. Maybe it's just because y'all, maybe they think you all won't listen. But, it's not a compromise when you're just giving up parts of you and not really the other person isn't giving up anything, and stuff. And she never really said anything about what the vegan dude was doing or what he was compromising. She never said a word. She said what she was compromising and stuff. And I'm thinking, well, do women think they're, really great people because they did this and stuff? I mean, I didn't really think, I'm telling you, everybody was like, oh, this is so great, and stuff. And I'm thinking, what advice? She didn't even give any advice about compromising. Nobody compromised and stuff. And the only one person who noticed stuff, it was only one person in the comments who noticed the same thing I noticed, was that although she had, of course, was patting herself on her back for being so great at compromising. There wasn't a compromise. There wasn't actually a compromise. There was just her sacrificing something and him getting what he wanted, which was her not to eat, meat or eat less meat. And even that, he wasn't even that happy about and stuff, And it's kind of the same thing I saw with Gabrielle Reese and whatever that book is she wrote and stuff. I was like, well, it's kind of him getting what he wanted and you just sort of getting to just sort of, figure out how to be okay with whatever drama he got going on. And stuff, and that's not okay, Ladies, stop compromising yourselves and compromising what it is that you believe or you want or think you deserve regarding a mate or regarding treatment in this world, and stuff. I mean, we'll compromise ourselves right out of any principles we have at all as women. We'll just compromise ourselves right out of anything, and stuff. And if you're not getting us some give and take when it comes to the compromising, and stuff, if you're giving up something and not nobody else giving up anything, you're really being okie doke. You're really making a self-sacrifice. So today I saw a conversation, and I follow Roland Martin on Twitter. I find Roland interesting. He's funny sometimes. But he was talking about the big thing with the Paula Deen thing, and about Paula Deen saying she used the N-word, and he was just saying he really couldn't understand how people were, just so, falling out in the streets about Paula doing it, particularly black people on Twitter, on black Twitter, falling out in the streets about Paula doing it, and then themselves going out and most of them using the same language and stuff. And I don't care if you use the ER version, A version, UH version, whatever. It doesn't matter, and stuff. It's not a okay word to use and stuff. And you can't ask people for something that you don't give yourself. So all of a sudden, there were a bunch of people arguing with him about, and stuff. And he was just saying, I don't use it. I don't let anybody use it around me and all this stuff. And of course, black people were having a heart attack. You're this, you're bougie, you're suburb kid, whatever. You're, and a bunch of crazy stuff and stuff. I can't believe you. Of course you use it and stuff. And then, of course, there are a bunch of women on there somehow defending the use of the word and stuff. And so I'm thinking to myself, here we are, once again, compromising ourselves. A few days ago, I said I don't give passes. Nobody can use that word with me. Can't call me that word, can't use that word. My parents didn't use that word. My grandparents didn't use that word. There wasn't no regular word being thrown around my house. And I don't care who you are. Because I respect myself and have self-respect, I expect respect from you. I can't not have self-respect. I can't somehow not respect myself and then somehow really be demanding that you respect me. It doesn't work like that. And black women can't expect for black men to respect them and all this stuff that black women are always moaning and groaning about black men not doing, while they don't respect themselves, while they call themselves names that they don't want black men to call them, while they call themselves things that they don't want white people to call them and stuff. I mean, I don't really have to worry about somebody calling me something, because if I don't call myself that, my expectation is you're not going to either. Okay, you're not going to think that's okay. I can't say I ever in my life have ever been called that by a white person. Okay, and stuff. Now, what people do on the other side of town, I don't know. Don't really care. And so there was some kind of argument that somehow, well, just because if black people can stop saying it, that doesn't mean white people will stop saying it, And I thought, yeah, and I thought, what kind of argument is that? Who cares what everybody else does? I care what I do. I care how I treat myself. I care how I let other people treat me and stuff. What other folks is doing is fine. Like I said, you can do whatever you want on the other side of town. I don't know what people might be calling me there, but I tell you what, you won't be calling me that to my face. And I won't allow that. I won't make that compromise on myself. That somehow I'm going to tell somebody else, well, it's not okay for you to do. But of course, since you and I are the same, we're both black people. It's okay for you to do. Huh? No. And there's no way to turn some bad word. Yeah, well, we're taking it back. Listen, you can't take bad words back. You can't take words that are used to hurt and meant to hurt and used maliciously. You can't take those back. They're malicious words. I don't want it back personally. I don't know how somebody calling me a name, and me somehow calling myself the same name somehow empowers me. It doesn't empower me. What empowers me is to rid you of my life. That's what empowers me. You know, is to rid you of my life, or to tell you, you know what, you're not going to call me that, and you're not going to say that to me. That empowers me, not me using the word. That don't empower nothing. And so everybody with their twisted, crazy logic and their compromises that they're having and making regarding things, regarding things they do, regarding what they let people say to them, and stuff. And then people are always wondering why their life is so kind of out of balance and out of order all the time. Wow, wouldn't it be great if everybody had some self-respect and some healthy boundaries? Woo! This would be an awesome world. It would be. Because there's no way I'm going to let my husband say something to me that I wouldn't let other people say to me. There's no way he's going to come in here and we're going to have some inward conversation and no, never in life. There's no way I'm going to, if I have a child, I'm going to do that around my child. Never in life. And I'm not saying I'm perfect, and stuff. Far from it, But I am saying that there's just not going to be this thing where people are going to get passes. And I'm going to make compromises on principles of who I am. It's not going to happen. You shouldn't be doing it either. First of all, I'm just too old. I'm just too old. Just some stuff I'm just too old to put up with. I'm just too old to put up with. And you need to think about your own life, your own sanity, because making these crazy compromises really does something to your soul. It hurts you. Everybody else gets what they want. They get to call you whatever they want. They get to do to you whatever they want. And you're the one that gets hurt. You're the one that has parts of you picked out by what people are doing that's so damaging. Maybe it's time for you to draw a line in the sand. Maybe it's time for you to say, no, I'm not going to put up with that. And no, I'm not going to compromise on that. If we're not going to have some real compromise, then I'm just not going to compromise on that. Stop patting yourself on the back thinking you're a wonderful person because, you gave up something and the other person didn't. Oh, I'm just so awesome. I'm so wonderful. You're a fool. Stop doing that. Stop patting yourself on the back. Oh, I'm so empowered because I've taken something bad and I've somehow used it on my. Yeah, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. I'm calling you a fool. There's nothing empowering about that. And it's time to stop making excuses and trying to put lipstick on a pig. It's still a pig. It's time to be real about what is going on and what you're doing to yourself. Because no one disrespects me. You may try it once. You'll never try it again. You will be told and you will be out. You will be gone. There will be no compromising here with my principles and the principles of who I am and what? None. Not unless it's something, that I feel like we're getting some kind of exchange. Or if I'm giving up something, yeah, well, you're giving up something too. There'll be none of this, there'll be none of this. I'm so self-sacrificing. Aren't I a good person? I don't need that. I was a good person previous. Think about what you're doing when next time somebody asks you about compromising. Think about what you're doing. Think about what's happening there. You know, if you're the only one, if you're writing a story out and you're the only one that gave something up, then, you know, you've been okie doked. Sorry. Because I'm not letting, you know, it's not going to happen. I'm not letting that happen. Enough of that. And it should be enough for you. Stop. Stop so hard trying to make things that are unacceptable acceptable. Stop trying to make what is abnormal normal. I know we love to do that nowadays. You know, but it's gonna stay what it is. And if I'm an old fogey and out of touch and whatever, then I'll stay an old fogey and be out of touch. I'm okay with that. It's not no problem. It's yeah, as somebody said on the Twitter today, it's better than me being young and dumb and compromised. That's for sure. You know, that's for sure. So that's just my thought for today. Something for you to think about, you know, and think about your own life and what it is that you may be compromising, you know, and not really getting anything, you know, for your compromise. Not even getting acceptance, not even getting a thank you, not even getting we appreciate you, you know, making this, you know, giving this up. Enough of that. Enough of that. You don't compromise. You know, you don't make these huge compromises on who you are, what you do, and what people say to you. Somebody's got to stand up for themselves. Somebody's got to stand up for you. Why not stand up for yourself? All right. I'll see you guys later.